Hello and welcome to Sageflo's 3x3 podcast. I'm Julian Scott and I'm your host today. Our podcast is a way of connecting marketers, CX, and customer care practitioners with customer insights and learnings from industry experts. For this month's 3x3 podcast, we have Mary Judkins, Director of Customer Care Services for Lands' End and a Sageflo customer. Mary, we're so happy to have you here today. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. I am Mary Judkins. I'm a Senior Director of Customer Care Services at Lands' End on our consumer U.S. direct business. So what that means is we are responsible for delivering through our agents and platforms the legendary service that Lands' End has come to be known for. And Lands' End, in case you don't already know, is an American lifestyle brand that fits everybody, men's, women's, kids, and extended sizing throughout all our lines.
Oh, that's fantastic. I do know Lands' End, and I have a rather absurd story about not necessarily Lands' End, but whenever I hear Lands' End, I think about something from my childhood. There was a retirement community called Journey's End. And so whenever I hear Lands' End, I immediately think of this retirement community called Journey's End. And the reason I think of it is because I didn't realize this until I was an adult, that its logo, which was the silhouette of a man on a horse with a spear through him, was the most horrible way of showing a retirement community called Journey's End. I still to this day cannot believe it actually existed. And as I said, I know that's totally absurd, but when it also made me think of, you've had quite a journey with Lands' End. Seems to going back and forth, and tell us about that. What keeps you coming back for more?
Yeah, so I have had a journey with Lands' End. I was fortunate enough to live in the area. And so when I went to college, I actually had a part-time job on the phones with Lands' End. And I'm not going to say when that was, but it was a little while ago. And then I left for a little while, went after I graduated college and came back and actually had the opportunity to work in our inventory operations, in our Lands' End business-to-business side of the business, and then back into what I consider my home, the consumer side of the business. Interestingly enough, I left again for a little while and went to a university, but really missed both the private sector and the spirit of Lands' End. I know many people will say companies have, my company has a unique culture. Lands' End really has a culture that is unique in that we definitely are known for legendary service. But before you can take care of the customer, you need to take care of the employees. And that really is the heartbeat of Lands' End. And so I came back and actually came back into employee services and talent development, and then had the opportunity to come back into the contact centers. So I have been seasoned in many different areas of Lands' End and have been very fortunate.
Oh, that's great. I'm a big believer how a company treats its employees and the culture they craft is a direct reflection of the customer experience and the care they will give. And said more simply, happy employees and happy teammates make happy customers. So.
I have to tell you though, Julian, I didn't know where you were going with your story. And so many people, when they talk about Lands' End, if they've heard about another Lands' End, it's the Lands' End at the tip of the UK. And I thought you were going to go there at first. So you really surprised me in the curve you took in that road.
I try to surprise, because now my pun will be, well, maybe your Journey's End will be at Lands' End. But
right. Well, absolutely. Check out our job boards. We are an absolutely awesome company.
That's fantastic. All right, let's dive in. So question number one, what are some of the biggest ways Lands' End's customers were impacted by the pandemic, and how did that change the way your team approached the customer experience?
Yeah. So first and foremost, what we found is customers more than ever were looking for comfy apparel, right? And we really fit the bill. It's those soft, versatile fabrics that you still look good in. So customers were looking for products that they could look good on a Zoom call in, nice soft knits, polo shirts. I'm in a soft knit as well. And then help your kids out with school and do outside activities. they also were becoming much more digitally savvy. So they were more attuned to going online, doing the shopping. And I think throughout the pandemic, you have seen and heard customers and consumers more apt to get online. And we definitely saw that at Land's End, more apt to use their smart device or their mobile device. And definitely, we had product that customers were looking for, and it was actually saw quite a volume of activity come in. The other thing we experienced with our customers that we needed to work through with them, especially in the contact center, is when you're in that direct to direct business, the challenge of the delivery to the doorstep, right? So everyone was challenged, different businesses were challenged, and for the most part people were understanding, but they wanted the knowledge. Where exactly is it? So working through the carrier challenge as our products, those orders were making their journey to the doorstep.
I imagine that particularly when you pride yourself on providing such great customer care and then you're thrown this big curveball, like how do you up your game without contradicting what we were just talking about earlier, keeping the team happy and helping them navigate this time because they're impacted just as much.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And we also wanted to make sure that our people were safe and comfortable. That is the first thing that you do, that I think every organization went through, is how do we help our employees through this? At the same time, how do we continue to feel like we're giving our customers a seamless experience when they really are looking to purchase products that will suit their changing lifestyle at that particular point in time.
Oh yeah, I think we all needed some soothing. We probably still need some more soothing. Yeah. So yeah. Hopefully it's a good time for Land's End. Well, that leads us into the next question, which, what were some of the challenges of moving a team to a work from home model once the pandemic hit, and how did you resolve those?
Yeah, so I'm going to primarily speak about our home agents. So we were fortunate in that we already had the majority of our staff, a large portion of our staff, working from home. And our challenge became, how do we acclimate those that were still in the office to a home environment as agents? And then in 2020, as we geared up for peak, how do we recruit remotely, and then how do we train remotely? Because in the past, our learning and development was a period of new hire training on site, then a couple of months on campus so that you could become acclimated to our culture and become more proficient in your role, and then you went home. So we really had an awesome learning and development team that pivoted on a dime and redesigned curriculum, redesigned syllabuses and learning, and brought on new tools, and did all of the learning and development at home. We had some great collaboration and partnership with different departments, like our IT department, because now we had to get the equipment to them. We had to give them user setup information. And we had a great partnership with our employee services area to do complete remote recruitment. The advantage we found is it really opened up our talent pool. So we were able to recruit across regions of the country, really saw and really continue to have some exciting new folks join us who are very excited about the brand, but didn't live close enough to be able to be a part of the brand. So there were challenges, and those challenges brought with them opportunity as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. I think a lot of companies have had a similar experience of where set in a way, and then when forced to reimagine and reevaluate, like, hey, there's actually, this could be a win. We can turn this into something bigger and better and bring more people into the fold and so forth. So that's great. Not every company's had that revelation, I think. So it's great to hear that Land's End has.
Yeah, and we're all converting, right? We're all, how do we now go down the path of this post-pandemic, hopefully post-pandemic environment, and still meet the needs of the employee, and as they have transitioned their lifestyle, be able to meet their needs, and continue to be immersed in collaboration and partnership across the organization. So yeah, but for our home agents, our our customer service representatives, they are definitely in a home environment, home office environments. It's been very positive.
Oh, that's great. So Lands' End is known for its amazing quality products and its legendary customer care. If you don't mind sharing, what are the top 3 things that allow you to provide that best-in-class customer experience?
Sure. So I'll always say we continue to be rooted in our heritage, which comes from our founder, Gary Comer. Gary Comer started the business in 1963. And for some of us, that doesn't seem that long ago, but it really is. And what he would say, and is really a cornerstone of our service practices, is take care of the customer and everything else takes care of itself. So whenever we look at the top 3 things that are important to us, we always ground ourselves as a customer care division in that in his philosophy. So if I look at what we're really looking at is access to information. So a customer back in the days of old, right? Customer care services was about calling a phone center, getting my questions answered, and then I was done. But today we are a digitally driven company in a digitally driven world. And we need to make sure that our customers can get serviced the way they want to be serviced. And that frequently means that the information is available to them upon a lookup. So how can we help facilitate that? And then so many of our customers have done research before they call us, and they're calling us because they need additional help. So making sure that our agents are very knowledgeable and they feel confident and comfortable in that knowledge. And because questions can range from things that we get every day to very unique, we need to make sure we have platforms and information available to our agents to give a little bit deeper amount of knowledge. I would say second is agent autonomy. We absolutely do not script our agents. Rather, we give them guided questions so that they can help understand what the customer is really asking for, what they're really looking for to be serviced about. And what that does is it helps us get to the root of what they want, what their wants or needs are, and allows for a natural conversation instead of a stilted conversation, whether it's on a chat or it's in the old-fashioned voice technology. And then strategy. We are always looking at our strategy and an eye to what is possible on the horizon, because we all know we need that infrastructure to support the new things that will allow our customers to have effortless and easy experiences. So we are always looking to see what makes sense. We don't want to get the favorite candy of the day, but let's get the flavor that's going to really help us be able to sustain that legendary customer service.
That's so amazing. Hey, I hope some brands out there that maybe struggle with customer service watch this, because they probably could pick up a tip or two on how to get it right. So last question is, with so many agents across the globe, how does Lands' End ensure a customer experience? You just mentioned that you don't give scripts and you give a lot of leadway to the agent to solve the problems, but what is that uniform magic that Lands' End sparkles on everything to make sure?
So I would say, going back to maybe what I said originally, and that is, in order for the customers to have a great experience, the employees have to have a great experience. So we really, across the organization, there's collaboration, there's partnership. I mentioned employee services and information technology, learning and development, but we have great partnerships with creative, with PR, with merchandising, so we can really understand the product, understand what PR is, what our brand is saying and doing. And all of that collaboration then doesn't just stop at a level, right? We make sure that all of our people, our agents, are very familiar and immersed in that. That does take time and onboarding, right? To assure that immersion in the culture of customer service and staying true to the cornerstone of our brand. But customer service isn't just a customer service agent, and it's more. And the customer service isn't just customer service agent. So she's more. She's our brand. He's our brand. And it really happens through partnerships in a constant and ongoing learning environment. So we don't train at the beginning and say, okay, done. We have ongoing learning. I talked about knowledge. We have tools for everyone to access knowledge, and that's shared globally, both on the consumer side of the business and the business to business side of the business. And there's just a very strong a collaboration with that. But it's that access to knowledge. It is the partnerships and collaboration to make sure that that happens. And I will put a little plug in for Sageflo. One of the things we're really have been excited about this past year is Archiver, and our ability to be able to know exactly what a customer is referring to when they say, I want that red shirt that was in my email 3 days ago, and I can't find it. So having access to, in Archiver, to promotional and transactional emails has also helped us across the organization be able to service that customer.
Well, thank you. We will take your plug. We not expected or needed, but greatly appreciated. Well, you touched on two critical things that I think often get overlooked in various brands. And first, that team collaboration, particularly different departments. Sometimes it seems very unnecessarily adversarial, or not everyone's on the same page, or not working towards unified goals. But if the goal is to treat our customers well and deliver an outstanding experience, that sharpens that focus and hopefully gets everyone on brand. But that often gets overlooked. And I also think the training is always ongoing. It's not one and done. It has to continue over time. And no matter where you are within the organization, there's always new learnings and so forth. And so those are two valuable takeaways for any team here, or any person listening to this, to walk away, is how can we improve collaboration, and how do we ensure training continues?
Yeah, and I think the other thing, and we are a culture, we are a company of inclusion. And so when you are, and you live that culture of inclusion, you are interested, and you know the partnerships make a difference, and that diversity, whether it comes from the diversity of the person themselves or the diversity of the area that they are supporting, the willingness to understand each other really does make the difference, and helps us service up great service.
Well, we could probably have a whole other podcast on inclusion, because
Right.
that's one of my favorite topics and something I'm super passionate about. And it's lovely to hear, because there's a lot of lip service towards inclusion.
Yeah.
But to get it right and to really create that feeling within an organization, because you have diverse customers.
Right.
And you have to have that kind of universal understanding and that ability to connect with someone who may be different, or different experiences, or from a different point of view, whatever that may be.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Mary, thank you so much. This was a fantastic session. We're so grateful that you made time out of your very, very busy schedule to join us. Thank you again. And we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Julian, for having me on.
Have a fantastic day.